first in my bloodline to see these things. Lagos is a crazy place. And I think growing up in Lagos, for me, there was this vibrant creative scene that I didn't really know I was a part of until like even more recently. Nigerian parents, that's like your first hurdle. If you can like navigate that, then everything else is chill. Again, realization of his art, how like the most personal is the most creative, because there's just something there in our most personal experiences, but as human beings, we're all connected in that. I learned like a big lesson of like, it's okay to pray for something, but you yourself, you need to be ready.
Hi Black Circle family, and welcome back to another episode of the Black Circle podcast, and I am your host Zoe, and today's guest is Anthony Azekwoh, a Nigerian visual artist and storyteller whose work blends African mythology, folklore and contemporary culture through striking digital paintings and cinematic world building. Entirely self-taught, Anthony's work represents a new generation of Nigerian artists reshaping how African stories and mythology are imagined and documented on a global stage.
Welcome. Thank you so much for that intro.
No, my pleasure. And thank you for bringing the Nigerian sun and heat to London today.
You guys are welcome, man. I'm sure you guys were wondering, like, why did it suddenly get warm? I'm like, yeah, thanks.
Because Anthony's here, people.
Yeah, I did what I had to do.
Anthony, so you came on my radar through your viral series, The Wedding.
The Wedding, yeah.
And I was so compelled by it. I was just like scrolling on my TikTok, on my Twitter, and everyone was talking about what happened at this wedding. They didn't know if it was real or not. And I was so compelled that I actually made my own TikTok about it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is so intriguing, like the storytelling. And we are going to jump into that and discuss it a bit more in depth and tell people what it is. But I want to start with your introduction to art. So you've spoken about being self-taught, but also about your early passion for writing and how that shaped you as a storyteller. Mm-hmm. So do you think storytelling already felt natural or central to who you were?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think for me, I grew up around stories. You know, I was very obsessed with books. That's really what I did like when I was younger, like that time to get into trouble at school. So I think for me, it was a thing where it's like, you know, I remember we'd even come here for holidays, and let's say my dad would give me like £60 as like pocket money or whatever, which was like a sum at that time.
Yeah.
I remember how I would do it was that I used £55 on all books. I go to Tobias Smith. I used £55 on books, then like £4 on like mollies, and then like that many work hard. That's what I used to just try and get back home. So in my head, it was just that, like, just books, stories. I really immersed myself in that. And I feel like my parents as well, it was something where in the house, there were always all these random books. Because like my parents are like both readers as well, but like they read their own thing. Like my mom reads her Christian books. My dad was reading his own, like he's reading his own like strategy books and all that. So I just hear like just always picking stuff around.
So it's a very varied influence from your parents. You've got that kind of religious and then strategy, but then you're very creative and
yeah. Because even my mom, I remember back then, because I can imagine I was probably a restless child. So she would when she was reading her newspapers, she would like scan through us to make sure everything was PG, and then like, she'd give me. Like when I was young, and so that's how I was like learning how to read. I was like reading newspapers. Every time I didn't understand like a new like word, I'm like, bro, what does this mean? She'd be like, yeah, this is what the word means. So like she really like did carry me along, and I had been when I was younger.
That's fantastic. And also, doing my research again, your teachers were a big influence.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
No, for sure. I think I was fortunate to have like the childhood I did, where it's like, you know, definitely there were a bit like there were some marbles here and there, but I think with my teachers especially, you know, I went to a school that was more liberal than most, especially in the Nigerian like space, where it's like, okay, for instance, you couldn't hit the kids, which is like that was revolutionary. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you know, the teachers, they would love to threaten, but it's like we knew and they knew that you're not gonna do it.
Yeah.
So that was like one thing, and I feel like, but still, in the terms of the environment they gave us an environment to be able to like just really explore things and just like learn. And one of our teachers, Kola Tubosho, you know, he's just really tall man. Like he's tall than this door. Mm-hmm. As tall, like, but tell her, yeah, you know, and he came to our class one day, and it's like, this is our new English teacher. And one thing that he did is that at the time, the way the internet was spoken about, this is, again, it's like 10 years ago, whatever. He is more than 10. But he was coming from it from an angle of, you know, most of your teachers are telling you not to use this thing. At this time, there was Wikipedia hate and all that. But he was like, you know what, look, like, you guys go out, use the internet, make a blog, and then submit your assignment. Like, give me the link, and that's your assignment. And I was so crazy. I was like, okay, like, this is new. So I remember all of us went home. I was so excited because I was already making my own blogs, you feel me? So I was already ahead. I was writing on Wattpad at the time. So I made my blog, submitted my assignments, and funny enough, that blog I used to submit the assignment became like my little website that I just continued on like promoting my work and all that. So I think that, yeah, definitely like my teachers, like my friends, and that environment, Lagos, especially at that time, that's when a lot of us were coming into ourselves and like realizing, okay, we could do stuff and like just share it online and let's see what happens.
So you was really already in that very digital space. Your teacher encouraged you for that forward thinking, and that's actually a really good segue because, again, as I mentioned in the intro, that you taught yourself digital painting using a mouse and Photoshop. So that's where that digital experience came in. So how much did teaching yourself under those limitations like shape you as an artist?
I think that for me, it probably did like so much. By the time, it's like what happened is I really wanted to do this art thing. In the sense where it just seemed interesting, again, I was a writer primarily, and the thing with writing is by the time I've written something, by the time I've written it, by the time you read it, man, years could have passed. I could have even died. But with arts, there's this instantaneous, I would say, ability for both of us to even look at the same piece at the same time. Like, you'd hardly ever, like, read the same essay with someone, like, side by side. Like, that's odd. But looking at the painting, there was a more communal effect that I saw there because each medium has its own strengths and weaknesses. And with art, I was like, okay, I really like this about this, where it's like me and someone else can have this experience together. So what happened is, by the same time, I was in year 1 of studying chemical engineering at this like really stupid university. So my parents were really eager to like support this. They're like, bro, like
Traditional path.
yeah, this is not what we sent you there for.
Right.
So I was like, damn. So funny enough, my sister had a mouse that she used for her computer. So I stole it.
Borrowed.
Yeah. I didn't give it back. I never stole that mouse. I stole it, and then I started just teaching myself because, again, for me, it was a matter of I want to do this thing. I'm seeing these people doing these crazy things with digital because now you don't have to buy a canvas and all that. And I already have my mouse. I found a way to get Photoshop. And then, bam, I think for me, it was, first of all, I think that was the biggest lesson I learned where it's like, you can't really wait to get all these like big fancy tools. Like you, for instance, you get what I'm saying? You didn't wait to like get like the fancy studio. You start where you start and then you keep pushing. And I think it really just developed this crazy endurance with me because at the time you can imagine, I'm like drawing faces and portraits with a mouse. I'm like teaching myself how to draw anatomy with that. Right now, I don't know how the hell I was doing that because this is so long ago. But I can imagine that it was hard. But for me, I was enjoying it. It was fun. I was like, because every time I did something, it was getting better. And I was like, oh, this is crazy. I like this. Like, this is fun. So I think for me, it definitely, I think that beginning in particular really helped me understand just the values of hard work, of pushing, and just being scrappy, especially in the creative space.
And I think, so much of it is A, enjoying your work, and B, being scrappy, exactly as you just said, and that kind of ingenuity and learning how to use the instruments around you when you don't, exactly what you said, when you don't have any other options. So how much has growing up in Lagos influenced the worlds you create visually?
Man, I think it's influenced a lot because like Lagos is a crazy place. It's actually a crazy place. But funny enough, it's very similar to London in the sense where it's like, cities like London, Lagos, like New York, they have this vibration where it feels like somehow through somewhere you can actually just do anything. And anything can happen to you, like good or bad.
Yeah.
And I think growing up in Lagos, for me, there was this vibrant creative scene that I didn't really know I was a part of until like even more recently. But then there was a lot of experimentation going on with music, with arts, with like writing, like all of us like young people just doing things and figuring ourselves out. And I think, again, Lagos is also very restrictive in the sense of a lot of us were also coming against very conservative parents. So it's like your battle was for two now because it's like, and the way I see it, like Nigerian parents, that's like your first hurdle. In a sense where it's like, if you can like navigate that, then everything else is chill, man. Like if you can explain to your parents that you want to do this thing, and like, okay, what's your job going to be? Okay, you're going to make up stuff and like hope people buy. Like if you can make that make sense to them and then yourself, then you're golden. Like there's nothing anybody wants to tell you in the world.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it was just really a part of being in Lagos. It's always just been being able to endure so much because running the business from there has also been a massive, massive, massive headache. Every week we're dealing with something and something. But it's also been a blessing because at the end of the day, this is where we were born. And being able to, I think, be part of this wave of just really, really incredible work, I think it's been cool.
Absolutely. And it's so funny when you were saying about, your parents being the first and biggest hurdle. I've had so many people on the podcast, like whether they're born in Nigeria or of Nigerian heritage, say the exact same thing.
Yes.
It's just like, I wanted to be whatever X, Y, Z, but my parents were like, no, doctor, lawyer, engineer. And I think it's similar as well, if I'm thinking like through kind of Caribbean experience as well. But it's yeah, definitely like my West African guests. It's like, they were so,
I see. Oh, you're Caribbean.
Yes, I'm kind of, yes, I would say predominantly my heritage is Caribbean, but also my mum is Ghanaian as well. So she's half Ghanaian.
Shout out.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
so
Well,
mix.
we'll bring you in. No, it's cool. You're one of us.
Exactly. I wanted to get into like who gets documented. I came across one of your quotes that I found really interesting. It says, "The present is the part of the record that goes missing the fastest." And that really speaks to how easy it can be to lose control of our own narratives if we're not careful.
Where did you find this from?
I think it's on your website.
So you can access the website? It's meant to be a password.
No, I think it was like on your about. Like you've got your website it is password protected, but then there's like about, and you can click on the about, and there's some information
This
there.
is so crazy.
Is it not meant to be there?
Yeah, I'm doing a bad job.
But listen, it's a really great quote.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I'm going to say again, the present is the part of the record that goes missing the fastest. And, when you look at things like the Benin bronzes and that's sitting in like Western museums, what conversations does that bring up to you around memory, ownership and preservation?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly that. When I look at our own culture, I look at from perspective of, first of all, now. Because now is this just eternal states. You get now, there used to be a now where, people were creating these bronzes to celebrate their leaders, to celebrate like the people that were affluent around them, or just celebrate just the life, like just to describe the life around them. Now used to be these knock masks that they used to make. Like now used to be that state of creation of like just us describing the world around us. And when I look at it now again, it's a thing where I feel like as an artist, one thing that always did jar me was, my family were also like big travelers. So we'd also like travel around this and that. And every time I'd come here, especially like London, it's like you see these great sculptures, these great paintings, like these monuments. And then you go back to Lagos and it's like, damn, like,
where is our stuff?
Where's our stuff?
Yeah.
And what's funny is that, for the English in particular, growing up in an environment like this, it fosters a national identity. Because again, you're looking at this and you're like, that's where I come from. Okay.
Exactly.
I'm like, I was in Shoreditch a couple of days ago and I saw that this statue of this statue that was dedicated to the like Lord Shoreditch or something. And I was like, huh? He was a guy? Like, okay.
Yeah.
And like you learn about this and you like the place feels more than just like a geographical location. It feels like parts of history. And Lagos has all of those things. Lagos has lots of these spots and places that were, again, parts of history, but a lot of that has been lost because the artwork, the culture was never preserved or was stolen. So I think for me as an artist, I think one of my jobs I realized was I want to be able to record now in a way where my children and their grandchildren, by the time they're looking at these paintings, they're like, oh, damn, this is what these guys were up to. Like, that's fun. Like, because hardly if ever I've had that experience in like, a Nigerian museum or something. So I think that to me is a big part of just my own work and arts in general.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I want it to be for you the same way that it is for a Matisse or for a Van Gogh. Like we want to look at Anthony Azekwoh's work in the future in that same regard.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, like this is what those Nigerians were up to that year. Like,
yeah,
okay.
exactly. You also explore themes of Yoruba mythology in your work. So what draws you to that as a storytelling language?
Yeah, funny enough, because, and that's like, the question you asked is so interesting. That's actually like a very cultural, I don't know how much you know about the cultural situation in Nigeria, but then I'm Igbo.
Okay.
So, but I was born and raised in Lagos, which is like more like predominantly like Yoruba. But funny enough, my dad and his dad, like, my dad was also born there. Our family has always just been there because, like, I don't know, like work, like life and all that. So he's also spoken the language. You guess since he was young. Unfortunately, I speak in either Igbo or Yoruba. But damn.
Wait, how does that happen that you don't speak either?
Hey man, I don't know. Like at some point, I think for them, with particular families, there was maybe some anxiety of if we teach you this now, maybe learning English would be harder, or maybe your English is going to have like a certain thing. Like there was just like I think different people kind of navigated it differently. So a lot of us don't know how to speak the languages, unfortunately. So I think for me, it's like. But again, I heard this language so much growing up. Like, you get, like, for me, I'm growing up in Lagos. Like, Lagos to me felt like the whole world. And again, with that, you also, like, start learning, like, stories and, like, reading books and, like, learning from people. And I think for me, like, the mythology in particular has always just been interesting because, again, it's like, I grew up on Percy Jackson, who was Artemis Fowl, like, all these books that were drenched in, it's called a replacement, or drenched in either Irish or, like, Greek, like Roman mythology, and it's always the question of like, damn, where are we? Like where is our own? Do we not have any? And then going to find out that we do have some, it's like, oh, but then the more you kind of look, you kind of understand why our stories aren't even told in that space because one, and I believe that Nigerian culture is also it's become very conservative now. With that conservatism has now come this let's call it need for the story to like bear in one path. It's like the mythology has to be here straightforward. The problem with that is that's not the truth. These stories were told by people like me and you across like several tribes, several dozen families. There's like so many different iterations of these stories. And what's happened is, okay, maybe you say Songo was born here in this land, but then they'll say, no, he was born there. Someone's going to say, no, he wasn't born, he was da-da-da. And the issue then becomes when people come and try and like tell their own stories, they're normally like stoned and they're like, no, like, this is not what it is. This is not what my mom told me. Conflict. And when that happens is that the story doesn't get told and then the story dies.
And that's what I'm saying. There's like, we're bringing this conflict to it. And like you said, then that we're just cancelling out the story entirely, which is counterproductive to what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's always just been, even with my art and like the sculptures, I've gotten some flack for some of them. But I'm like, look, like the goal of my sculptures or like my stories is never to present the one record. The goal is to add to this public dictionary so that, look, the next person who wants to tell the story, I want him to be able to have like just more information to go off of. Because if I ask you to visualize Thor, for instance, it's very easy. Like your mind is going to go to, oh yeah, I've seen Thor in so many iterations across so many different like books and mediums. If I ask you to like visualize Songo, it becomes a lot harder. Why? Just because you haven't seen him enough. And that's just it. Like, so my goal has always just been, I want to add to this public record. Like, whether or not you think it's like the accurate version that your family told for generations, look, I'm sorry, you can't please everybody. But my own thing is to just add and allow the next person to be able to have like record that they can pull from and then add as well. And then we build this culture of just, just throwing it into the river and like just building that well.
And again, I guess it brings up a broader conversation around colonialism and religion. And regardless if you think, if your religion is kind of like, okay, I don't want to dabble in like kind of Orisha and the gods and those type of things. Regardless, again, like you said, it's about, when we have like Greek representation and Roman representation, it's just about the representation.
It's really just about that.
It really is just about that and just like those things living as a document of how you used to do it in Nigeria, like how that history was. So yeah,
it wasn't even that long ago. It's like this is like maybe 100 plus years, like maybe 200, and that's why I love what Christopher Nolan's about to do with the Odyssey, because stuff like that is important. Like he said, I'm going to tell the story. Yeah, people online are mad, and it's like, sorry, okay, make your own thing. Like it's cool. The way he has the freedom to do his own thing, you can do your own thing, and like we all just keep doing our own things. Whichever one people like wins, like no problem.
Yeah, it's mythology.
It's mythology.
Yeah,
it didn't happen, guys. It didn't happen.
We can have the pizza as Helen of Troy because it's not real.
And I hate these conversations, man, because it's like the movie hasn't come out. Just wait till I watch it.
Yeah, exactly. No, I strongly agree with you on that. Hi, Black Circle family. I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. It would really mean the world to me if you could take 2 seconds just to like, follow, subscribe and share and really help me to build this community and keep the conversation going. Thank you. Your work often places traditional mythology at the centre rather than at the margins. So you're putting those stories really at the centre of it. Was that conscious? act of reclamation, would you say?
Yeah, no, for sure, because it's like in my head, like Lagos is the world, like, and that's the perspective that artists have always had. You draw from what you know and what you knew, and you build out this world that's comfortable to you. The same way, for instance, Western artists, if you notice, they paint, you know, the gods or even God himself as like this really like old Italian man, and it's like he's not an Italian. No, that's not what happened. It's just the way I see the world. Like I see the older people in my community, so surely God must look like me.
Right.
So the world looks so in my own like version. It's like there was in the beginning the tendency to like follow that Western trait. So okay, maybe like these things are like white, but then that's not the world I grew up in. I grew up in Lagos. Everybody was black. Like there were white people, but it's like the minority. So I think for me, like it was a very conscious, very intentional choice to really reflect my own reality, which I just thought was very important.
Absolutely. The biggest example that I can think of as you're saying that is Jesus.
Yeah.
We have, I don't know the period of time when they started painting Jesus as white.
For so long.
Yeah. Was it the Middle Ages? I don't even know, but I won't even try to guess.
For as long as people could paint, they did.
But, that was, as that culture started to become predominant, then you're pushing out this image of a white Jesus. But, I don't want to get all like in the Bible.
Yeah.
But that's not how he was described.
That's not how people in that region look like.
And that's not, yeah.
But if you deep it, it's like, imagine I'm an artist right now and we're in 1300 Florence. The Pope has just commissioned me to go and paint Jesus. Which would I be more likely to do? Take this boat journey where me and a couple of my people could die and then go to what is Palestine now and then actually start like sketching the people there? Or I'm just going to go around my neighborhood and pick people around.
Exactly.
Do you get? And just like paint them and call it a day. And that's what used to happen. Like you were painting what was around you because your world was also a reflection of God's world. God created you guys, know? So surely like mathematically, like this is what God should look like. But again, it's like that same thing of if, for instance, there were like African Christians at that time and they were also painting, like we would have paintings of Jesus who were black. And we have, even in Asia, for instance, you see like Asian Jesus, so again, it's that whole thing of God reflects us, we reflect God, and like we just keep pushing.
Yeah, at its most beautiful form, that's what it is for me. Like God reflects us and we reflect God. But I think at a human level, where it becomes corrupt is when like the ego comes into play.
Of course, yeah.
And when you were saying like, they'll go to their nearest neighborhood and paint who was local, but there's also like these power plays and they have great PR.
Oh my God.
Great PR, if you're
PR.
conquering lands and,
like,
you're
this is what Jesus looks like me.
Exactly.
He looks like me.
Exactly. But Jesus could be a representation of any of us. That's
exactly.
my personal.
No, for sure. That's exactly. And that's also the power of arts to be able to, I say dominate worldviews.
Yeah.
It's because it's like I could come with my worldview and say, look, this is it. You could come with your own, this is it. And the power has always just been in, unfortunately, who was able to cause the most bloodshed.
Exactly. And again, it's beyond just beauty and world building and storytelling. There is real power in art. There really is. Yeah. So moving on a little bit, the wedding, and spoke about this at the top of the intro, and just again like how I discovered you, and it's just such a fun series, and it's your second viral series. So do you want to discuss and just tell the audience a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, I remember seeing your TikTok and I was like, oh my God, like, okay, like what's popping off for real? Because you know what's funny? I don't even use TikTok. So I'm really bad at that. But I randomly, I guess, like during that period, I was like, okay, let's just see it. And I was like, oh wow, okay. Like guys, like I think we're doing something. I think for me the wedding began a while ago, in the sense where my mom, she's going to weddings, and sometimes like I follow her. Or sometimes she used to make me and I'll just go. And to me, it was just so interesting, like the wedding. Have you ever been to a Nigerian wedding?
I haven't, not yet. I want to. I know. I need more Nigerian friends. I know.
Yeah, you need more.
I know.
So, and it's like the weddings are like so chaotic in like the most beautiful way, in the sense where it's like there's obviously the wedding that's happening, but me, I just always used to pay attention to like there's that auntie there, she's negotiating food because the waiter hasn't come to our table. Do you get? So she's trying to sort things out, like, bro, what's going on? Do you get? There's that uncle there who's just tired, he's sleeping. Like, do you get?
Sounds very Caribbean, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, and this is what I'm getting to, because it's like, again, at this wedding, things are just happening. Like, you get, maybe that there's people that actually don't really like the bride and couple like that, but you know what, like, let it not be as if we didn't come. Okay, there's this auntie that actually doesn't fuck with anyone. Can I swear on this?
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, this auntie doesn't fuck with anyone. Like, you get, like, you guys did something bad to her in 2006, and she hasn't forgotten him. And like, there's the bride and groom themselves who, again, it's like, it's a beautiful day, but a wedding is this very crazy project. You know, it's an insane project. So everybody's tired, they're a bit tense. And I always just used to look at this ensemble and be like, damn, this is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's hectic.
It's hectic. And like, there's so many like characters, and everybody's just like playing their own role. And it was just always so fascinating to me, because I felt like that wedding to me was also this big lesson of love, whereas like people here are here for different reasons, and in fact some of them actually hate each other, but we're all here, like, we've all still come because we love each other and we love you, like the couple. And it's like, despite whatever differences we have now, like, cool, no problem, but tomorrow will square, but today is about you and we're here. And I feel like that was just a powerful thing. So for me, when I started painting, I painted the first person in the wedding called the bridesmaid.
That's the one that I
yeah, and then that went viral. And I think for me, it was a thing of, I hesitated for a while, because again, you just don't want to paint something for painting's sake. I don't want to just do it serious because I wanted to do it serious. I was like, I don't know, like, let me just chill for a bit. So for like a month, I just stewed and just like rested, continued painting, because I wanted it to be a strong body of work. And then when the story finally came together, which funny enough, it was also inspired by, you know, me and my friend group at the time, that had been like lots of chaos going on. And you get friends who hate each other, and it's just like, damn, man, but I love it. Like, why can't we be one happy family?
Yeah.
And then in the realization that wasn't possible, there's just a lot of truth there, but also a lot of understanding, or just the nature of like what happens when people are just together, and like the differences that they have. So for me, it was crazy. It was like, you know, I started painting it, and the thing I found most interesting was I was painting people that I knew from memory, from just being in weddings, but then there were people across different cultures, different ways of life. They were like, bro, like, this is my auntie. How did you know? This is exactly how my auntie moved. Like, you know, I just got married. Like, this is exactly how the wedding was. And it was also this big, again, realization of just art, how like the most personal is the most creative. I've gone and said that, but I've stolen it. Like, do you get? Because there's just something there in our most personal experiences, but as human beings, we're all connected in that. So it just carried, and it was just such a beautiful thing. Like, it was like a soap opera, because for us, like, the goal was, you know, every Sunday, me and the people we agreed, Sunday at 5 p.m., we said, okay, no problem. Every Sunday, just dropping a new painting, adding to the lore, and it was just like, it was incredible.
And it's the lore, because again, we go back to the bridesmaid painting that dropped, and she had this sad, forlorn look on her face, and you was like, I've just been at a wedding and they commissioned me to paint. And it was like, everyone was like, oh my God, why does she look sad? And they were really dissecting your painting piece by piece. Oh, she's got like this on her shoulder, or what could have happened? Like, so it really created this amazing buzz around it.
And I think that, like, again, a lot of people have this narrative that, okay, like, Africans don't consume art. And I'm like, no, they do. Like, we consume art like everybody else. Like, we're human beings like that. And watching people, like, sit down, like I said, they were dissecting. They were finding things that I didn't even put there. Like, they were finding things I didn't think they would see. And it was just this crazy experience of, like, whoa, like, this is wild. Like, this is crazy. Our opening day had, like, 3,000 people.
That's crazy. Was that intentional, of creating that buzz with social media?
So I would say there wasn't the intention in the beginning, but the minute I knew what it was, I was like, okay, I know how we can. I know how I'm going to take us all to the promised land. Like, I was like, trust me, guys, I know how we're going to get here, because the minute I knew, normally I don't do shows in December in Lagos, because it's like, we're old now, like, this is too tiring. Like, this is a
we're
young man.
Spent by the end of the year.
Yeah, I was like,
exactly.
But for this one, I was like, I'm going to make an exception. I want you all to see this. So I think that was, it's one of the hardest projects we've ever had to do, just because of the time scale and all that, and also the payoff. But then, because again, you don't want to bring everybody to the whole thing. And then everybody's like, damn, like, this is it.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest joy I had was everybody coming to the end of the series and being like, yo, this was crazy.
That is insane.
Yeah, like it was.
You took us on a ride.
I did, and it was just so fun, man. It was really, really enjoyable.
Absolutely. I want to move on a little bit, and I'm going to come back to about virality, and also the Red Man painting. We'll talk a bit about that. But I want to talk about Afrofuturism, which also is quite prominent in your work. So my understanding of Afrofuturism is like that cultural aesthetic, philosophy blending with fiction and technology. So what does Afrofuturism mean to you personally?
Yeah, for Afrofuturism is like, I think as a lot of Africans, a lot of the stories that we were told we could tell were very much, they had to be about like that war. And as if you're an African, there's always that one war that like you get divided your people. You had to have been about poverty, you had to have been about this or hunger or like this or that. And I think that, for a lot of people, it's like, no, like, screw this. Like, I want to be able to extend my work forward to the future and see what I can bring back from there. And I think that to me is what Afrofuturism is. It's just this reflection on what our worlds could look like, just decade, centuries in the future, and bringing back that awe and wonder from there as well. I think for me, funny enough, my work has shied away from that, like, space in a bit because today is so interesting.
Yeah.
There's just so much interesting today and yesterday as well that, I haven't had time to reflect on the future. I think where we are now, even with AI, is already insane enough. So I think I've kind of taken a little step back and really wanted to focus on today and reflect what that is. And and yesterday as well. And then just keep feeling that out.
And on the topic of AI, like, is that a concern for you, or are you leaning into that?
So I think AI is interesting. Man, this hay fever.
Oh, bless you.
Hey guys, I'm going through it. Yeah. So in the beginning it was because for me, you can imagine I was like, damn, I just got this job, and now you're trying to take it away. This is mean. But the more I look closely, I was like, yeah, actually, I'm okay in the sense where it's, the AI is able to clubber up all the images of the internet and this and that, and that's cool. But as I've been telling people, art is more than pretty images. It's always been more than pretty images. In fact, it's hardly ever been about the image itself. The image itself is cool, but the fact that Van Gogh, this man, was so tortured, so hurt. He made these paintings with his own hands, and he's been dead for hundreds of years. But here I am, looking at this reflection of his own being. That's powerful. Like art has always been about dialogue. It's about me and you being able to speak across time, across space, and be able to hold that conversation. And I think for me, for instance, and a good example is an AI could have made very pretty pictures about Nigerian people going to a wedding, but it couldn't have painted the wedding the way I did.
No.
Because the wedding was more, it wasn't just influenced by the visual nature of it all. It was also influenced by my memories, influenced by my hurts, my own love. And it's why I keep telling people where it's like art is multimodal in the sense where it's not just drawing from the images, it's drawing from sounds, it's drawing from memories, it's drawing from thoughts, drawing from smell, drawing from all my senses put together. And AI is just too narrowed down right now for that. And so the minute I realized, I was like, yeah, I could do cool things, but my experience as a Nigerian man, that I'm putting in the work, that's not something that the AI is gonna be able to steal anytime soon.
No,
So
absolutely.
yeah, I think after I realized that, I've been chill. I think there are a lot of people who were doing particular kinds of jobs with arts that, I definitely cook. Like, fair enough, it did take the job. But I also feel like now it's free to artists to ask ourselves bigger questions of, look, like, what is it that you want to say? But more so, what is it that you want to say that only you can say?
Right.
And I think that's where we are. In my head, it's freed us from a lot of this like cookie cutter work. Like, now you have to go deeper and really, really get to the core of what you're trying to say to the world.
Absolutely. And again, like, you can't replicate spirit and energy like you said, you get that energy when you're looking at a Van Gogh or, whatever, and you can't replicate that through AI. And you will never be able to replicate that through AI, may I add. So what excites you most about the future of I can't say this properly, Afrofuturism, particularly through a Nigerian lens?
Yeah, I think what excites me the most, about like just where we are artistically is the fact that this is we're still at ground zero. I was at the Tate recently, and there is a space that Western artists have been allowed to explore in, where it's like you're really going like crazy and experimental with that. For me, that's where I really want African artists to be able to get to, where it's like we're able to push and we like play with the mediums in a very free way. You get like be able to exist in the world like our counterparts. I think for me, we're still bound by a lot of rules and expectations. But then I am looking forward to a world where like this becomes more a reflection of who we are, but at the same time where we are just not being so fucked. Because right now, like, unfortunately Africa as a country everywhere is being damned by some form of either like tribal bigotry or like economic instability, like bad leadership, corruption. All these things are ravaging the continent. So I'm also, again, it's also having that hope that things start to level out soon.
No, I hear that absolutely. And I think just generally the whole world seems to be in that same pressure and landscape, which is really scary stuff. Virality. And we touched on that with the wedding, but that wasn't your first viral series. So your first viral piece was The Red Man, and that sold for 25,000, which is so impressive. Like, how did life change for you after that?
Not much.
Not much?
Yeah, not much, I'll be honest. It was like,
yeah.
I remember that day, actually, I was on my way somewhere, and I saw it, I was like, yo, this is crazy. But in the sense where it's like, not much just because there was so much happening at that time. This is the same year that I dropped out of uni. This is the same year I had to leave my dad's house. It's the same year that like just so much was changing around me. And at the time I'm just like 20, 21.
Very
so like,
still.
Like my whole world was just, every day my world was changing in a significant way and I was just mad overwhelmed. But I think for me it was crazy because it was also a big combination of everything I had done and being able to get to that space of, wow, like, okay, this is real. That was crazy for sure. I think, like the Red Man, that was my first viral. In fact, that's the bit of like, it got me out the hood. It really did. You can imagine for me, and this is back in pandemic, I guess my parents knew I'd been doing this like little art thing, but like they'd never like, it's kind of like, where you're keeping something out of mind. So suddenly they see me, this guy is picking up DHL, but I turned the house into a DHL waybill station. So I was just always just bringing boxes, taking them out, bringing boxes, taking them out. And it must have been so confusing for them. I remark on it a lot. I'm just like, damn, like, it would have been so strange. This thing that I told you not to do, suddenly you're doing it at this like upgraded level. And it's like, okay. But yeah, that was the first one where it exposed me to such a wide audience that I just never knew was possible. And funny enough, a funny story is I remember during this time, because I remember almost everybody's name because it was just so special to me. A person who bought a print, he was from Belgium. And I was like, damn, like Belgium, like, okay, this is crazy. So we shipped out, we always just maintaining contact. Then last weekend at the talk at Oxford, a man comes up to me and I see his name and I'm like, oh my God, it's you.
No.
And then, somehow he was also there at the time, and then when he saw me, he came and I was just like, oh my God. I was like 6 years later, I was like, dog, you really, really did like.
How aligned is that?
That's crazy. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's just been this very, I think my journey in my life so far, like, even though it's been hard sometimes, it's been like, it's something I say a lot, just trusting the process. The Red Man, for instance, is a painting I never knew was going to go viral. In fact, the viral moments are moments I never know are going to go viral. And every single time I've tried to go viral, it's always flopped.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Always, always, always. I don't know why. I don't know which spirits is in charge of the whole thing. But like, he's always, every time he sees that I want, he's like, nah.
Yeah.
But every time he sees that I'm just working, hand up to God, he's like, okay, maybe we'll give it, like, let's throw it with the roulette slot machine. So I think, like, virality is something that first time it almost did break me because, again, I wasn't prepared. So the website you're seeing, and I'm going to check after, show me the website you saw. You know, the website actually that I had up until this year is the same website I made that night. It went viral because I had no website. I didn't know it was gonna go big. I just turned 20 that year. Like, I'm just doing this little odd thing. And I remember I'm on FaceTime with my friends. I'm like, guys, what the hell do I do? I have no email.
Right.
There's no website. How do you even ship prints? Like, what does this mean? Like, do you just go to DHL and say, hey? And so there's lots of questions that I had to answer very quickly. And I learned like a big lesson of like, it's okay to pray for something, but you yourself, you need to be ready.
Preparation.
Yeah. Your mind, your body, your spirit need to be aligned that, okay, whenever this thing happens, I'm there. Because if not, it's that gift can easily become a burden. And that was like the little tap dance I had to do during that time.
And again, it speaks to the business side because, yes, you can be creative and an artist, but there is a business side that obviously you want to grow and scale up. So I guess that was your first.
That was my first trial by fire.
Yeah.
And it's like, and what's funny is that after that happened, Yasuke happened months after. And Yasuke was this like Japanese samurai that I painted. By the time that happened, I was like, okay, cool. This is what we do. So that's why when the wedding came, it's like, we've seen this so many times already. We already knew that, okay, this is what's gonna happen. This is like, it's like we're like soldiers. Me and my manager Kiton, you get like, we already knew that, okay, this is how it's gonna be. No problem already. Like, we're inside.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. So we know better and we do better.
we do.
Every time. Yeah.
We don't make the same mistake twice. We make new ones.
Yeah. I just kind of give the audience a little bit of an image. So the red man, this is my interpretation. It's this image of this mature, I'll call him mature, very, lined face, with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, very cool cat, gold chain, studs, but he's like this backdrop of red. And you can tell he's got a shirt and a hat on, but it's like blended in with the red. What is there a story behind that?
I like red.
What about the person, the man? Was that a character for you or someone in real life?
No, so funny enough, it was what was happening during that time is that I was doing a study of a photo by identical them. And it's just meant to be this like normal like study, like and in our terms of study is just when you're just painting to like study your maybe facial anatomy or something. And at the time again, I graduated from the mouse and I had like a little tablet. So for me again, I'm just like studying, just like trying to get better. But through the study, I remember I was just like, actually, like there's something peaking at this. And I can't tell you what it is or what happens or what the force is, but I just started to deviate completely from what I was doing. I was like, like, what about like this web red background? What about if he's smoking a cig? Like, what about if his like eyes are a bit cloudy? And the finished product was something so odd in the sense where at that same time, I'll never forget it. Normally, every time I used to paint, I used to have paintings of like my idols like there as well, so I could like try and do what they did. But that's the first painting where I was like, yeah, fuck this, man. I'm gonna do my own thing. And the finished product was so strange because I was like, this is odd. I don't think I've seen anything like this before. And that made me anxious because it's like, is this good? Do you get? Because now there's no market to place tickets apart from my own eye. But I realized that no, like that's a good sign. Like it means you're heading somewhere new and fresh. That's yours. And funny enough, I wasn't even gonna post it. Like what happened is the week before I posted something that I'd worked on for like 12 hours. So for context, I worked at Reimagining for like 5-6 hours, which is for me is so painting. Like now in like 3 hours I could be done with something. But it's like to me that's like something I'm just doing to play. So again, like the Reimagining was meant to be just be like this nice little sketch thing. Maybe I just keep it on my computer or whatever. Because the week before that, I had done like 12 to 20 something hours. I worked on the paint. I said, this is the one, guys. I said, this one is going to take me out. I posted it and then nobody cared. I was like, fuck you guys, man. So the end of that week, I was just like, let me just post it like it's like, you guys don't care anyways. And then literally everything changed. It's like, it was like winning the lottery.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously after that, I remember in my head, I was like, mathematically, there's 12 months in a year. If I do this 12 times a year, I was like,
Yeah.
surely,
Yeah. But recreating those moments, like you
it's
said,
about,
it's a spiritual thing.
that's
You
what I said, the
can't,
spirits, there's a
yeah.
spirits in charge. You know,
Yeah.
and he told me, he just laughed. As I'm making my plan, he just laughing. Every
Yes.
time he saw me try, it's like, nah, nah, nah. And it got me depressed for a bit because I was like, damn, am I in one painting wonder? Is this me? Like, is this my peak? And I remember one day just being like, you know what, fuck this, I'm gonna stop painting what you guys want. Let me go paint this random story of a samurai I've had in my mind.
Yeah.
Painted that, then it went viral, and I was like, oh my god, what is the? And me and kids we talk about it a lot, where it's like, I honestly could not tell you what it is that makes something go viral. But I've just learned the biggest lesson I've learned is just not to care. Like, just do your work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then somehow
Yeah.
maybe the spirits will see you and they say, okay, you know what, this is the one that'll go.
Yeah, but it's also building up that reputation for your audience. It doesn't matter if it's nice to have a wide audience, but if you have a loyal fan base, you know, who are really sold into your work, like I think that's kind of where the longevity lies.
Yeah.
So do you think digital platforms have become a kind of cultural gallery for African artists?
Of course. I think, like, you know, without the power and influence of Twitter and Instagram and, you know, Pinterest, Reddit, all these things, I don't think my life would be what it is now. Like, very frankly speaking, I think the internet itself has allowed for a visibility for, you know, us Africans in a way that didn't used to exist before.
Yeah.
You know, let's say 60 years ago, if you wanted to be an artist as an African, you'd probably have to be painting, and then hope that some gallery that was around you, that was maybe represented, maybe it was an office of a gallery in London or New York was around, and maybe then they'd pick you up, and maybe you'd make some sales, and maybe you wouldn't stuff. Like, you know, just a lot like that was at play. But now it's like just one post could go across the world and back to get to everywhere you need. But at the same time, competition has never been fiercer. But no competition with your artistic peers. Like, nah, that's dead. It's more like competition with content.
Yes.
People are seeing so much on their phones. What is interesting about your work that's going to make them turn away from, I don't know, these AI dating shows or whatever, which I'm learning recently, like people are into right now, like these AI skits or have you seen the?
God, what kind of AI skits?
It's like, I don't know, there's vegetables or something, I think.
I don't know.
I think my friend was trying to put me onto something.
Oh,
like,
I know. Are they like information? Like they give you little information about things? I don't know. That's the ones that I've seen.
Yeah, there's one, but it's like there's like some. I think your people know like this. there's some that are like dramatic, where it's like
there's so much
the
crap
cabbage.
out there.
Yeah, the cabbage catches the apple and the banana cheating or something like that.
Oh God, no. Thankfully, that's not come across my algorithm.
Yeah,
thank
same.
God.
But I unfortunately was shown
Yeah.
this dark,
Oh no.
this dark imagery.
Yeah.
I'm the first in my bloodline to see these things. But yeah, like it's like. Still, what is special about your work that's going to make someone who loves that turn away for a minute and pay attention to you? So I think that's where things are right now.
So yeah, I guess do you feel that pressure to constantly put out content, or are you like, I'm going to put it out when I'm ready to?
There used to be a pressure before until I had to align myself with what I wanted. And it's like, what do I want? Because at the end of the day, it's like, there is a model where I'm posting paintings, posting. And I do have to thank like my team and my manager in particular for this, because it's like, you can be stuck in that rat race. And it's not even a rat race. It's like, there's a model where it's like you have to continuously feed the algorithm.
Yeah.
But that's not who I am. Like, I don't even like it like that. There's also a model where, again, it means things may be slower, but you're kind of charting your path towards something. So I feel like for me, it's like, there's not really pressure to post anymore. There's pressure to like keep things updated, like, but not post art. You know, I feel like that pressure isn't really there right now. In fact, I have so much art on my laptop that I have some that I'll probably never post, and I'm okay with it, because I'm like, this doesn't fit with where we're trying to get to right now. And I'm becoming okay. It took me it was a long, hard journey.
Process.
Yeah, but I just realized that, no, like, what's the point of putting something out and there not being like a plan, there not being like a structure, there not being like just a more long-term view of what this piece could do or be. And yeah, it's become nice. I think I'm in that space now where I think even sometimes I'm overthinking it, where I'm like this one, nah, not yet. Like I can feel it now. I'm like, I don't want to keep flooding these things. Like, it's cool. Let me just be chill for a bit.
Do you want to overexpose yourself as well? There's something about keeping a bit of mystery behind your neck.
Yeah, the next one, I'm like, you guys hold this one for a bit. Maybe, who knows? Maybe next one, let it breathe.
Yeah.
Like the wedding is still like, it was like 5 months ago, and like I'm still reeling off that, like, because that was 6 months of my life in one collection. Like,
and didn't the CEO of Def Jam buy?
Yeah, he did.
How cool is that?
Wow, Tunji, that's.
Yeah.
I was coming, I saw you like the poster. I was like, oh, Tunji, shout out, because he's mysterious, man. Because he's so like busy, but he's just been. From years ago, he's always just been someone who's just like, bro, you're doing cool stuff. And I think when this aligned, I was like, bro, like this couldn't have tied itself neater like this. Yeah. Like all the things that happened, all the people that came through, it's like, I don't even want to be able to engineer a moment like this, because this was just like God, this was God's plan for her. So I think like, yeah, like Tunji has always just been just a great person, and all the collectors, like the fans, like the people, and the new people that this brought. It was, like I said, it's one of those things where you can't. It's hard to be even agnostic in this field with a lot of the things that happened to us. Before the wedding, a week before I posted that painting, we're in a bad space. I don't think I've talked about this before. Just in a dark space. I'm just like, damn, what's the rest of our year gonna look like? Oh, we have to pay these people, that people, and it's like, it's just heaviness. You're just tired. The wedding comes and it's like, oh shit, the lights are back on, guys. Okay, okay, we're back up. Okay,
no, but it says something to when it's like success is on the other side of fear, and when you feel like you're at your worst, just keep going, and that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, it's just always that's our skill, man. It's just to keep surviving. I know someday right now, Redman's 60th anniversary. But yeah, it's just that. It's just been trusting the process.
Yeah. So before we wrap up things, I like to do a thing called the full circle moment. So it's just a reflection exercise. So looking back at your younger version of yourself drawing with leftover pens and A4 paper, what would you want him to understand about this journey, where this journey would lead?
I just want him to understand that, like, you have to trust it, especially when it's the hardest, especially when you're at the lowest, when there's no money, no attention, and, you've lost a lot. And again, I have lost quite a bit. But I think for him, I just tend to just keep going. I think that's the hardest thing you can do during those moments, but it's also the most rewarding thing. And I think there is a knowing somehow, because at the end of the day, it's a lie I've told myself where it's like, I don't know. I know that there's something here. I've been able to trust that feeling in its rawest form, especially when you have no reason to. Like, that's faith. And I think bringing that faith into work and just being able to keep going is the biggest lesson of my life that I still find myself relearning and learning again. So I think it's just that, like, you just need to keep going. Like, trust the process, man. Like, you get there.
Yeah, faith. Well, Anthony, thank you so much for coming down. If people want to follow your journey, where can they find you?
All my social media is Anthony Azekwoh. Azekwoh. Yeah, that's it. And my website should be www.anthonyazekwoh.com. We're going to discover which one
what's happening there. Yeah. Thank you so much once more. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in for another episode. And if you want to follow the Black Circle's journey, we're at the Black Circle podcast across all socials. Don't forget to like, follow and subscribe. Thank you.